Welcome to Mighty Married Moms. Join us at our kitchen table twice a week as the Mighty Married Moms, Debbie, Linda, Wendy,
invite spectacular guests to weigh in on staying sexy, vibrant, and healthy,
building marriages with soul-satisfying connection, raising happy, healthy, successful kids. Conversations with Mighty Married Moms will bring you closer to the life you really want. Episode 79.
Good morning and welcome to Mighty Married Moms. I'm Linda Tighe.
I'm Wendy Williams.
And I'm Debbie Owen.
And we have the distinct pleasure today of speaking with Jane Polley. Jane is a registered dietitian, the nutritionist and water exercise director at the Longfellow Club in Natick and Wayland. We spoke with Lori Hamill not too long ago on our podcast. He is the owner of Longfellow Clubs. She has been coaching individuals and groups for 22 years. Habits for Health and Happiness, the group program at Longfellow, has the mission of supporting people to make lasting changes in nutrition and exercise habits. In addition to helping people to get off diets and make lifestyle changes, those individuals are also able to reduce medical risks, including managing diabetes, high cholesterol, and hypertension. And according to Lori Hamill, Jane is one of the best in the world, and I have the pleasure of working with Jane at Longfellow in the water exercise program, and she's just really an incredible woman, and I don't think there's anybody at Longfellow, whether they're a member or whether they work there, that doesn't absolutely love you and have just the deepest respect for you, really.
The best in the world's a lot of pressure.
Well, it's great to have you with us here today, Jane.
And she literally is here with us.
We're so
This is our first experience of having somebody in our own living room or around our kitchen table. So excited.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Great.
Beautiful setting.
Thanks.
Thank you. So, Jane, just tell us a little bit, fill us in on your background, what got you interested in nutrition, and, sort of bring us up to developing this program at Longfellow.
Well, it's been an exciting 22 years, and my original background was actually in public accounting. Most people don't know my best kept secret was that I am a CPA, and I worked in the field for a short time and learned an incredible amount and learned that I needed to move to something else. And I realized that in my life I wanted to make a difference in other people's lives and helping them to feel amazing about themselves and to make lasting changes. So I was fortunate enough to go back to school, which I recommend to anyone who's interested in growth and change, through the nutrition program at Framingham State University for 5 years, and it was the best 5 years I ever spent. Wow. So that's an aside to any of the mighty married moms that are looking to make changes. You can do it.
Yeah, that's great. And so that was 20 plus years ago?
Yes, I finished graduate school in 1994, and I started working at Longfellow while I was in graduate school, and it segued right into the full-time position. I started with water exercise, which led to the nutrition upon graduation, and I've been there ever since.
Oh, wow, that's great.
It's fantastic being in one place and developing community and relationships, and that's what makes a big difference in people's capacity to change. We're just so fortunate to have this.
I think we've talked actually with several guests, that the community is so important. Right. Being part of a community helps you make changes that you cannot do on your own.
I saw a TED Talk yesterday, and I did. And one of the caption was, "Addiction is not what we think it is," or something like that. And it was just filmed in June 2015. And his conclusion, I'm going to give away his bottom line. He says, the opposite of addiction is not sobriety, it's connection. Isn't that something? So it feeds into that whole community connection thing.
So important.
Well, how have you found that to be so powerful in your eating programs?
Well, I think in my younger years I was more naive to what community was, and I just took community for granted. And what I see is that it's that combination of education. When you talk about addiction, it's actually a perfect segue into the specifics of nutrition, because what people feel so badly about their regretful eating, and if we can make that connection that it's addictive like in nature and understand the science behind it, it allows us to change our habits. And then with the support of those around us, you build up a community and a positive belief support. It's a biblical, I'm not usually a Bible quoter, but like iron sharpens iron, so man shall sharpen his fellow man, and women. We're co-ed now. And that is a powerful phrase for anyone of any denomination, and that it's education and community together, and then you make the actual changes.
That's interesting. So many of our people that come on this show, you got to know, talk about the changes on the inside, that's where the work is. Yes. You know, that's where the work is. And so what I hear you saying is that self-understanding mixed with good, solid, new information creates better health habits.
Yes.
But also the important key too is the community, which is where you have accountability, you have somebody holding a space for you, you have somebody lifting you up and encouraging you.
And you know you're not alone.
Yeah.
I'm not the only one who, when I have a batch of cookies, thinks, if I just eat all of the cookies right now,
then they'll go away.
And I won't eat them anymore.
Perfect solution. Well, we are all human, and that's what we realize. And the community support makes a big difference. And within that, the individual plan and knowledge so that you don't feel guilty. Really, that's what's an important part of change.
Yeah, get away that negative stuff.
Yeah.
That negative reinforcement is so... Yeah, that doesn't really work very well.
And I know I've read your promotions at the club, and one of the things that's really big in there is to stop dieting.
Oh,
stop dieting.
I like that.
Yes.
Tell us more about stop dieting.
Yeah.
Yes, we all want to stop dieting.
We do want to stop dieting, and dieting is very short term. It's very popular in the media, and so it guides us to look for the quick fix and the fast changes. And in our community, we support people to have a bigger picture vision of long-term change. And we want to change our thinking, and we want to change our habits and put it into action. And it's that combination that takes consistency over a long period of time. Sometimes I when I'm kidding, I say, I'd like to do a reverse promotion. This is long and hard. Join us.
People be lining up.
Exactly. But what it's really, the hard becomes easier just to close. When we were talking about community, the other part is we really work to make it fun. And for a lot of people, this dieting is not fun, and food isn't fun. And we want to enjoy our food and enjoy our habits, and let that lead to healthier habits with our families and our children, and decrease the food battles at home. That's not fun.
Yeah.
Right? And so having this sense of pride in our healthy habits, and maybe one of the biggest takeaways that we can start with, our takeaway points right from the beginning, is that being healthy doesn't mean we need to be perfectly healthy all the time. And diet people feel guilty every time they even look at a cookie. And we talk about managing it. We've already talked about the addictive nature of food. And some people know they can't keep cookies or ice cream at home. Well, guess what? We don't need to feel guilty. You can go around the corner and get an ice cream cone anytime you want to, and not have that half-gallon beating you. And diet people from the past feel guilty. And once you figure it out, you realize that's a great solution.
Yeah.
Why would any sensible person keep a food that's that tempting around? They make the food so that we will overeat it.
They do.
Don't they?
Absolutely.
They do.
That is such a great suggestion. I love that. Don't have it at home, but know that don't feel bad if you want to go out and get an ice cream cone. I've done that for years. If I have it at home, I will eat it.
I do the same thing with chocolate. I don't keep chocolate in the house anymore. Much to my son's chagrin, he comes to visit and says, "Mom, where's all the chocolate you used to have in the house?" And I said, "I don't keep it in the house, but when I'm out, I'll pick something up."
Yeah.
Yes.
Interesting.
Reward myself.
A reward, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And it's a family outing too.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
What reminds me of, I never had my own children, but I remember there were women around me when I was coming up who were saying, "Oh, my child only eats whatever, chicken McNuggets or whatever.
White food.
Something bad.
White food.
White
yeah.
food.
3 meals a day, 5 days a week." And one of the things that a pediatrician that was in our area kind of promoted, they said, don't look at a day, look at 7 days.
Right.
Yes.
So when you have an ice cream cone a week,
Yes.
It's not
So
that
what?
big a deal.
it's not like 3 ice cream cones a day.
Yes.
Or I had it at 11 o'clock at night before I went to bed because it was in my freezer and I had
Right.
access to it.
You had to eat it. It was
Right.
your duty.
That's right, it was your duty.
Yes.
Right. What is the thing about that? You just brought up an interesting thing. What is the thing about eating after 6 p.m. or 7 p.m.? Is there real science behind
You
that?
lose willpower.
Potentially, I think that the psychologists have proven, they say our true emotions come out at night. We're more vulnerable in all areas. They call it self-control fatigue. If we have one pool of emotional energy, and as we deplete it through the day, once it's gone, and we need to replenish that with sleep, with stress reduction, all the things you probably talk about, our exercise, which is handy.
Is there some sort of physiological, like if I really eat, 150 bad calories of, the ice cream cone at 8 p.m. versus 150 calories of the bad ice cream cone at 5 p.m.? Is there really a difference physiologically?
There's not a significant difference.
Because I've heard that all along.
I think we've all heard that. And these things, breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Jumpstart your metabolism. What does that mean? Do we have, cables that jumpstart our... It really boils down to how many calories we eat in the day.
Right.
And calories are not the enemy. Calories fuel us. Calories are science and they're educational. Right. And if we know we have a plan, another takeaway, not being afraid of calories, getting off of diets by understanding your calories. If you're a typical mighty married mom and your budget, assuming you might want to lose a little bit of weight, which most Americans do, is 1,600 calories, you can save that last 200 for your precious planned treat at 9 o'clock and you'd be fine. What we want to avoid is going into a sugar low, crashing and burning from too much junk food without having balanced meals. And that's when we get into trouble.
That's interesting. That's helpful. Really helpful. And I didn't know that about your ability to regulate yourself down.
Really, your willpower depletes throughout the course of the day. Imagine that you started out beginning of the day, you say, I'm going to be good today, and it's so easy early in the morning, and then as the day goes on and you've had to make this decision, that decision, and you've had confronted this challenge and that challenge, over the course of the day, you've actually your brain has been decreasing the amount of glucose that it has available to it. And so that's the physiological reason why it becomes difficult to continue to make good choices, because you've lost the ability to have self-control.
Yeah. So what I struggle with at night is that's my only quiet time, because kids all day long. My kids are up early. It's the only time that it's quiet, and I can be more creative when I'm not being bothered by other stimulus, people and kids and all that. Yeah. So then as the later you stay up, then you get hungry.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're thinking. That's energy that's being expended.
Yeah. Right.
So you want to replenish in a way, but
right.
At least that's my defense. Jane.
The thinking power defense.
Right. Yeah.
Well, it's true, and I'm thinking of all these things coming together, because to add to the glucose being used when we don't sleep enough, because we're so desperate for quiet time, is the golden gift. It doesn't cost a dime, and it's worth millions, especially to the moms. When we don't sleep enough, our cravings also go up. We reduce the amount of leptin, the hormone that tells us we're satiated, when we're up too late and, getting down to 5 and 6 hours sleep.
That's why, because I've read that people who sleep less actually weigh more.
Yes.
Yep.
That's
right. More sleep is better.
The hormone ghrelin tells us to eat more, and we produce a lot of that when we're not sleeping. And imagine survival. If we had to stay awake to fight off a saber-toothed tiger, we'd need more food. Right. And so we get these dramatic messages physiologically, and we don't really need food. But I think Linda's point sounds like she could be a candidate to save a few hundred calories for a guilt-free, safe treat. Not testing herself with a half gallon of ice cream, but maybe making sure she gets her 1 ounce of dark chocolate or whatever she likes, her little ice cream cup, and hiding it from your children in the freezer to not eat. And then at 9 or 10, you can have your guilt-free without doing it. Yes, avoiding the regretful eating.
Yeah.
And some people would rather attach their treat to their dinner. Some people don't want to have it. They feel too vulnerable. Everyone's a little different. And that's important too when we're getting away from dieting and trends and fads. We have common denominators for eating: blood sugar basics, balanced meals, helping develop our taste buds, which is so important with young people and adults, that we develop our taste buds as we expose them to different things, fresh produce.
Okay. So one thing that people tell me when you say, calories in, calories out kind of thing, and that you don't want to go over, you want to try to stay around that 1,600 calories. People say, well, how do I know? How do I know what calories are in? I don't know how much calories is in a hand, a palm full of meat.
There are apps you can put on your phone that will count them for you.
Yes. The apps definitely are very helpful,
Interesting.
and they're in a good awareness and increased awareness in food labels. And if someone is overwhelmed with numbers, we love the food plate or the palms of our hands. And I love to joke with people because we're having fun when they, great feedback. There's no vegetables in Europe and things like that. Did you know that? So I say, well, take your two
What does
hands.
that mean, there's no
They
vegetables?
can't eat vegetables when they're in Italy because they're not there. It's an over-exaggeration.
Oh,
of
I see.
the
They
free
only can
ti-
eat the pasta.
The
when you're
free
in February.
ticket
I got you.
mentality.
That's right.
So if we travel, the two hands go anywhere we go, and if one palm is one serving,
Yep.
and it's great for women, then that's a protein or a grain or a vegetable. We can think, okay, if I'm really hungry, this doesn't mean this is all I can eat, but if I put more than that here, say for protein, and I put my grain, I need to meet it halfway, and the other half of my plate, vegetables and salad and a piece of fruit. So it's a balanced
I
plate.
love that.
It really works well. So if you're not sure that a piece of fish has 142 calories, your palm out to your knuckle is very safe. And it works well for almost everything.
Palm to the knuckle.
Oh,
You just gave me another inch.
I did
I'm
give you an
excited.
inch because you're hungry, or
Yeah,
for any meal. Just a little
yeah.
leeway, and it's a little different naturally for things like cheese and peanut butter.
And
the
my
servings.
hand looks significantly different than your hand. So I would really load
use
up
your
on
own
calories.
palm. And it's a good guideline.
Well, I mean, because apps are great. I love that because apps are great. But I'll use it and then I
Right,
just
yeah.
don't feel like entering
App of the
it.
week mentality.
And I don't feel like looking it up
Yes.
in the list of food. Like,
I hate that. I hate that. I've
hate
tried
that.
it.
And it's great. It's awesome,
works
and
for
it
a
totally
minute.
works.
It totally
My
works.
Fitness Pal, I love that app, right? But that is like I can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
I don't have to think about it.
What,
I don't have
what's
to.
the thumb? I've heard also a thumb is a good measurement for something. Do you know?
The thumb in terms of an ounce or
Yeah,
two,
as an
I
ounce.
think
It's-
that's,
it's-
yes.
yeah.
They have all kinds of things where a computer mouse is 3 ounces, a tennis ball, the fist of your hand. And I said, this doesn't look like 8 ounces, but if you take your whole hand, that can be your 8 ounces. So you can find household ways to extend
to
and
get
visualize.
That's awesome.
It does help, and I think we're all commenting that the calories on the app sometimes is more challenging or takes more time. The other thing that helps when we're talking about our takeaways is the blood sugar basics. And when you think of putting the more than one food group together, if you take your protein and you put it with a grain, so if we love our healthy peanut butter, say, if we eat it out of the jar, we're inclined to eat much
More
more
of it.
But if we spread it on a piece of good whole grain bread or with a banana or an apple, that's a great mini meal on the go, so that if we don't prevent highs and lows, it's much easier to control that ice cream at night.
Right.
Or the dark or the chocolate that you pick up.
I don't always eat ice cream at night, just so you know.
Okay, Linda,
In fact, the banana with I like almond butter, but with the almond butter, that's almost like eating chocolate to me. It's like an unbelievable snack.
Yeah, I love banana and nut
It's
butter
so
too.
good. And it's really fun with children because almost everyone is feeding children at some point. Even if we don't have children of our own, children are in our lives. And if we can introduce them to these things at a young age and make it fun and educational and build your own. They love build your own anything. Even they don't know that it's, broccoli with a little whatever cheese, a little broccoli and a little cheese goes a long way for a child.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because children, their taste buds have a more pronounced sense of bitter. And naturally that would have to be survival. So they're not just being demanding or icky or
Picky.
BRATS, picky.
Right.
They really do taste the bitterness of broccoli more than we do. So if we doctor it up a little bit, and then as they get older, gradually take that down, it's amazing. And if you don't have a nut allergy, naturally, the peanut butter, people think you have to start with the solids, the Skippy types, not to mention a name brand, I just did.
Yeah,
but
it's
we
okay.
want to make sure we have the type you need to stir, because
Right.
if it's liquid and liquid is lubricating our arteries.
Natural.
And the natural. And the children will get used to that. You can sweeten it up a little bit.
Right.
And it's delicious. They only know Skippy because we gave it to them.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I saw something
absolutely.
interesting online where they took bananas, like pretty well ripened bananas, and put it in the blender, and then put it into like ice cream or ice cube trays, whatever. And it was sort of like little lumps of ice cream. It was, you just left it in the freezer, and you could scoop it out and eat it like you were eating ice cream, but it was really just whipped bananas.
After school.
Does that sound good?
That's a great
A couple
idea.
little chocolate chips on top.
Yeah.
That's a great
That's gonna be my snack tonight.
Yeah, we'll have to look it up.
Since the ice cream's gone.
Yeah, the ice cream's
Does
gone.
Jane know our favorite cookie recipe?
Oh, I don't know.
I would love to know. I don't
Bananas, rolled oats, and then chocolate chips, and that's all.
And you bake them in the oven.
Oh, you
them in the
bake
oven.
them.
Yeah.
And they're like
bananas.
real cookies.
Yeah, you,
bet.
of course, mash and mix up the banana, and then throw in the
I want that
rolled
recipe.
oats.
It's so easy, and
It's-
they're delicious.
They're so
They
delicious.
taste like
Bananas
you're eating a
really
real
add
cookie.
the moisture. And
Just the 3 ingredients.
That and the chocolate chip, and that sounds amazing. And the oats are so good with all
Yeah.
that fiber.
Yeah.
It's a great way to get a good whole grain.
Yeah,
Oh,
you don't
good.
need any sugar because the banana makes it nice and sweet, and
Yep.
chocolate if you use that. You could use blueberries. You can.
Yep.
I like to put pecans in it too.
Yes.
It's really good. So
Yep.
it can be a great, awesome, healthy.
Easy.
Well, I think that segues into our next takeaway because we love takeaways.
Yes, we do.
Yes,
And
we
when,
do.
when we're getting away from dieting, often the red flag of someone who's struggling is that every product in the cabinet or the refrigerator is diet butter, diet jam, low-cal bread, tasteless, low-cal, low taste. And so the more we can gingerly get away from those foods and substitutes and work with natural foods, still balancing our calories. It doesn't mean avocado and olive oil are free tickets. It really is more satisfying. And so whenever we can have a treat, that the cookie that you mentioned, which is completely nutritious with a little hint of the chocolate and the antioxidants.
The antioxidants,
That's
yes.
terrific.
Yes, that's right. I gotta mention
That to me is much healthier than more satisfying than a diet dessert.
Yes,
And then when
totally.
it's time for the ice cream, have the ice cream. But usually if we're in with diet jello and diet pudding, they're good shortcuts once in a while for some people. But if we're continually having those diet products, we can look for things like your cookie recipe.
Right.
And I think it's much more satisfying.
Yeah, absolutely. And they don't take as much time. I know a lot of times people think it just takes so much time to be healthy because I don't have time to cook. So they're really struggling with all that. And there are lots of these recipes, right, that are quick and easy, more satisfying.
Yes.
And they don't have the diet stuff out there has fake sugar in it.
Yes.
Often, if it doesn't have the calories, it's got the fake sugar, which from what I've read is just as bad or worse than
My body does not process the fake sugars very well at all. I can't use them.
No.
It's true. And I think that everyone is a little different. And for a lot of us, we don't tolerate the artificial sweeteners well at all. And it's really like any clinical type of assessment. We look at more than one variable for whether that's appropriate for someone. And some people it's a value decision. And so it's hard in my groups. People will say, well, should we or shouldn't we? I said, I educate you. You make the decision.
Right.
So when you have sucralose, which they take out it's a chemical structure of carbons and hydrogens in a carbohydrate, they take out the hydrogen and they add chlorine. And so they marketed it as being more natural than the others, than NutraSweet. So I said, well, you can decide if you think chlorine in your artificial sweetener. I'm not deciding for you. But for some people, for example, my mom, and we're taking care of people. And one of my sisters, who's very, very committed to no artificials, I said she's pre-diabetic, she's overweight, she can't remember all the time what she ate. And she's got dental issues. So in my mom's case, I'd rather give her a little diet cranberry juice. She's got risk for dehydration. That's the other. I thought about that. Right. So I'd rather have her hydrated without the sugar on her teeth and her waistline growing. At this point, a little bit of that artificial sweetener is better for her.
Right.
But for most of us, we want to keep that to a minimum. It just sparks probably the sweet cravings anyway.
Anyway,
Yeah.
You're not really doing yourself any favors in terms of if the sugar calories, bad maybe, but the sugar, like you said, the stimulus to eat more sugar, it's going to happen whether it's a fake sweetener or a real.
It could. It doesn't teach us to like the healthier things.
Right. So just to make sure we get this in before we have to end, because we're coming up on our time, but I want to talk about the fitness piece of health too. Jane lives by example. You cannot go to the club and any morning and she's in the pool doing laps.
Or out for a run.
Or out for a run. She, you always see her doing it. So she certainly lives by example. And yoga. Yes, we all love our yoga. So talk about that. I mean, I've read that we're all in the same age range. Women of a certain age, right? In particular, everybody needs to exercise, but
We're in the prime of our life.
we're in the prime of our life. Yeah. So
half century.
the exercise is it's again that whole DNA or the genetic thing that you were talking about, your body thinking that, oh, I need to exercise, so I must be hunting for food, so I better be sharp and I better take good, sort of put your body in a different mode. Is that something?
The brain chemistry.
The brain chemistry.
Yes, we do release those hormones, those chemicals that put us in a better mood, help reduce stress when we exercise. And every day that we exercise is a better day. And probably the biggest takeaway message is consistency. People have this idea that if they don't have an hour, they'll skip it. And we always say 20 minutes is better than nothing, and an easy workout or a hard workout is a good workout.
Still a workout.
Every day doesn't need to be hard.
You know what I heard recently? They said, I've discovered the best exercise in the whole wide world. And the person leaned in, what is it? The one that you'll do.
Yes.
So it could be bike riding, it
Whatever
could be
you'll
running, it could be bowling, it could be gardening. Whatever it is that you will do is better than not doing something. I love that.
True.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
And I even I'm at a point where the habit is more important than how long you do it, than the length of time. And so I'm in the habit every day of getting a little bit of cardio, and I either take the dogs for a walk or I get on the exercise elliptical machine. And even if I only have 5 minutes, I do it.
Yes.
It's better to do it for 5 minutes than not do it at all, because the habit is more important than the intensity.
Yep.
Well said. And that's our nutrition group, is Habits for Health and Happiness. And the first day you give your permission to skip leads to the second day. And when you train yourself on that 5 minutes, then you never miss a day.
Right.
That's
Yep.
awesome.
And I always tell people too, it is hard to motivate yourself to get started. You always if you're waking up in the morning, you're like, oh, do I have to go exercise? I know I have to do it.
Get started.
But you never feel bad when you're done. You always are glad
That's
you
right.
did it.
You
at the
never
end,
feel bad when you're done.
and when I don't
It's
feel like
totally
doing it,
true.
I tell myself, I know when I'm done, I'm going to be like, oh, I'm so glad I did that. And your whole day is better.
Yes.
All you have to do is promise yourself that you'll start. You tell yourself, I can stop in 4 or 5 minutes if I want to. But once you start, you get the momentum and you're fine. It's the starting that's the hard part.
That's right.
And not to mention, you burn some calories.
You definitely burn
so,
calories.
So if you have that, if that's your day that you're going to go have that ice cream, then certainly exercising would be an extra great thing to do that day.
It's true. And I think even if we want to take it to the next level, get in the habit of not even asking the should I or shouldn't I question. Become robotic with this habit.
Yeah.
And when we talk about our pool of emotional energy, don't waste any of it deciding if you should.
Right.
Just decide
Do it.
when.
That's right. Just
how
build it.
long,
It's
how
sort of
long.
like saying, brush my teeth. I don't know.
Yes,
Right?
yes.
Go to the bathroom. I don't know. Maybe tomorrow. You would
Yes,
never do that.
exactly.
Obviously, there's a much bigger physiological drive to go to the restroom. But nonetheless, there's some things that we just don't negotiate on a daily basis. And we need to put exercise and better eating into that non-negotiable bucket.
Exactly. Put it into the non-negotiable bucket.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I like
You
that.
can take that back to your office, Jane.
Absolutely. Whoa. It's a non-negotiable. We use that one often.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
So, well, our time is up. Unfortunately, it's always like, we say this every time, don't we?
Yeah,
Like,
that's
we're having so
fun.
much fun
Is there
having
a
this conversation.
chance for a quick recipe that everyone
Yes.
could follow?
Yes.
Yes, the family favorite. I call it 2-minute salmon, but it's 2 pounds of salmon. If you use the farm raised, it's a little more mild and it is more environmentally friendly than it used to be. 2 pounds of salmon, 1 tablespoon of mayonnaise, 1 teaspoon of mustard. You mix it together. You coat the salmon with it, put a little salt and pepper on it, and thyme, a very mild herb, cooking it at 425 for about 12 to 15 minutes, or certainly on the grill, and you have the ultimate perfect salmon that everyone from 4 to 104 will just love.
Really?
It's quick and easy. We're all about saving time.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Sounds
Saving
great.
time. Don't save it when it's on your fish. But
Exactly.
I'm just saying, I love that herb. It's one of my
Yes.
favorites.
It's one of mine too. I love that herb too. It's really great.
Yeah.
I know.
Well, thank you, Jane, so much. It's really been a pleasure talking with you. We've really enjoyed it. And thank you, listeners, for listening in. You can find us at mightymarriedmoms.com. And remember to tell your friends. You can go on iTunes, subscribe to Mighty Married Moms, and please leave us a review
And a rating.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you for
Thanks
listening.
for having me.
Oh,
was great,
it was
Jane.
really
Thank you
awesome.
so much.
I'm so
It
glad
was
that you could come and to sit at the kitchen
Yeah,
table.
it was
I
so
feel
great.
so appreciative
Good,
of the
good, good,
opportunity
good.
and the wonderful morning.
Good.
Great.
I
Thank
hope
you
our
all.
viewers.
Yeah, thank you all. And we'll be tuning in again next week.
Take care.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Mighty Married Moms. Tune in twice a week on Mondays and Thursdays to meet fascinating and inspiring guests who will help you create the life you've always wanted.
You can find these episodes and special gifts just for you at mightymarriedmoms.com, as well as a link to our Facebook community,
where we continue the conversation around the kitchen table. Please also help share the love by leaving a review on iTunes. We'll see you next time.